Alright, in this video I'll share with you 15 Indian things about me which you may or may not have known, but I thought it would be pretty interesting to share 15 things. So let me know in the comment section below how much do you actually know, what has surprised you, what didn't surprise you, and feel free to, I'm pretty sure some of you would have a bit of criticism to give me, and some of you would say, oh, I agree with you. Whatever the case is, I read your comments. Let's quickly start. So the first is my parents. This has always been a question. My father, his name is Daniel Leslie Machedo. He was from Kochi, Kerala. He was, I don't know, as far as I remember, he was an Anglo-Indian, supposed to be 5 feet few inches, not a very tall guy, 5 feet something. And it seems that he used to work on a ship. He was one of those merchant navy guys. He used to travel around the world. So obviously he had a lot of jiggy going to different parts of the world. He was a hardcore womanizer. I guess that is where I got the trait from him. And my mother left him when I was born at a very young age. It was kind of a love kind of thing. Maybe my mother saw a lot of financial potential in him, but he was from Kochi, Kerala. My mother is from Mangalore, that is Kinnigoli. Kinnigoli is a place in Mangalore. My stepfather is from Damaskatte, which is Mangalore. After they broke up, apparently my mother and my stepfather, his name is Frederick Pinto, my mother's name is Helen Dicuna, yeah. Her mother was Louisa Dicuna. So my stepfather's is Teresa Pinto. Yeah, Teresa Pinto. Just to make it clear. Real father, Daniel Leslie Machedo. Mother, Helen Dicuna, before marriage. Stepfather, Frederick Peter Paul Pinto. Okay? So my mother was in love with my stepfather, but then when she saw potential financial, she married my father. I was born. Then she left him. They both met in Dubai. They got married later. And, I was born in Bombay. Amboli or something. And stayed in Andheri, West, I think. Yeah, we had a property in Mumbai, 4 bungalows. And then, I moved to Dubai at a very young age. But when I speak in my videos, I say born and raised in Dubai because it's easier to say it in one line. So I hope you got the parents part right. Okay. So my father was Keralite, mother was Mangalorean, stepfather Mangalorean. I was born in Mumbai, as they call it, raised in Dubai, UAE. Okay. And I studied in a South Indian school, that was Sharjah Indian school. Anyway, so that is about as Indian as my parents can get. In the house, they spoke Konkani, but with me, they spoke Konkani only when they were strict and shouting. My grandmother, bitch of a woman, good thing she died at a late age. I hated her because she was very abusive. They believed in hitting and beating me to the point where blood used to come out. They physically abused me, mentally abused me very, very badly. And they used to speak in Konkani, but predominantly we used to speak in English. Over there, some people say I don't sound like typical Keralite or typical Southern, like, hello, how are you? Abel, A-B-B, Ali, Abel, pass the ball, what are you doing? I guess maybe because I was, born in Mumbai, so they had a little bit of slight grasp of English, even though a little bit of Indianish accent does come out in my videos. My ability to speak clearly is because I was a professional speaker, self-taught. I practice the art of trying to enunciate my words properly. I wouldn't say I'm very successful at that, but people can understand me. And so that's as far as my parents go. The second point is languages, because many people ask. Second point is languages. Konkani was the language spoken in my house. English is what we used to speak. Hindi is what I used to speak with. In Dubai, you have Pathans, you have Afghanis, you have Pakistanis, you have general population, and Arabs used to speak Hindi, Urdu mix. So like if I were to speak in Hindi, let me attempt. आप कैसे हैं? मुझे वहाँ जाना है. आज खाने के लिए क्या मिलेगा? I know this is the first time you must be listening Hindi. I know a little bit of Hindi here and there. Like if you were to speak in Hindi, I can understand. But if I were to communicate, I get rather confused. I don't speak the proper Hindi, the actual pure Hindi. My Hindi is very putela putela, as they call it. Okay, Malayalam, I know only the bad words because that is what you used to call me. Poda, patti, tendi, nari, kundi, you know, I'll put something in your kundi. Then, in the typical Mumbai bad words, they give teri maa ki behan ke bhai, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, so that's as far as Hindi goes. Then I've had friends who are Tamilians, but I don't know much of Tamil. Madrasi, I don't know much of Madrasi, but I only do know Malayalam because mostly we're Malayali Muslims in UAE. Okay, so the first one parents, second one languages. Friends have always been South Indians. I've been surrounded by them. Number three is I've visited India many times. I did my surgery in India. I was the longest in India for 8 months during the Gulf War. I stayed in Char Bangla near Good Shepherd Church, 4 bungalows. And I got to experience, I'll make a separate video of my first experience in a BEST bus in the train that used to go from Andheri to Villa Parle. I studied in 8 months in St. Xavier's Boys School in Villa Parle or something. When I was in India, the first time I saw a chaka, chaka is that Enoch is like the guy who acts like a girl, dresses up with a sari. I never seen that in my life. I really thought it was some fancy dress competition. I saw my aunt used to work for Holiday Inn, so she knew Salman Khan, she knew younger days, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, in the younger days, obviously, that I'm talking about when I was 16 years, I'm 47 now, 14 or something, much younger. I saw Rajesh Khanna, I saw, you know, the guy who acted in Ramayana, can't get his name, Amjad Khan, that time he was big. So she used to always get these actors and actresses there. I saw Farah. We sat in their car, and they got thrown out because I was talking too much. I've been to India. I've experienced India. I learned how to travel in trains, BST bus, and rickshaws and all that. I have visited India during my 7 years that I've been in Samui. On business trips, but I keep it strictly confidential. The reason being is you just do not know who you're going to bump into or who might create problems. If you ask me exactly how many number of times I visited India in this last 7 years, I would say maybe 9 times. I think 9 times. Longest I've stayed is during the 7 years, 2 months. But I keep it strictly confidential. I do not share with anyone any information. And if you see videos coming up, when I do share, when I'm in India, it's pre-recorded. Most of the time when I'm with my clients, some of them are VIP clients, they prefer me not recording with them. And I sometimes prefer keeping it confidential because they pay me a good amount of money, or maybe because for my own safety, I prefer not revealing where and when I visit India. I didn't visit India lately during this last, I think 6 months to a year. Especially after COVID, things have been slightly complicated. And yeah, I'm sure you'd like to know this. During immigration, they never think I'm an Indian, especially when I stand in line. But once they before they check the passport, they always say, hey, chutiye ko dekh, hey, isko dekh, and this and that. But when they see the passport, they look at me like, what the bloody hell? You know, they kind of get shocked. They ask, ye kya kiya hai? Ye kya hai? Like, it's always strange. What do I tell them? I said, I just tell them, sir, I say, yeah, you know, like, then they realized I don't speak Hindi so well. So I just said, I just thought it was a good idea. I guess I'm stuck with it. So I'm very humble. They do make fun of me. They laugh at me. They do check my stuff 2-3 times thinking I'm some drug addict or something, but they're overall good experience. But I always tend to have issues. I wouldn't say serious issues, but whenever I travel anywhere, you get hordes of young boys and people, they think I'm a foreigner, they want to take photograph, and many of them think I'm some WWE wrestler. They say, you can't see me, they do this and all that. And especially when I was big, you know, that suicide video, Loy Machedo suicide, when I tried to commit, I was really big. I was like huge, bigger than this. So they thought I was a wrestler. The places that I like to visit in India is predominantly South India, Kerala, not because I'm Keralite, but because it's very quiet nature. The place which I dread visiting is Mumbai, very crowded, very polluted. Delhi I visited, very, oh my goodness, it's too hot, humid, and there are too many scammers and fraudsters and all that. I do want to visit a few other places, but I will not mention for client confidentiality. But Kerala is where it's very natural. I like Mangalore also, even though I'm supposed to have all my relatives there, I don't like visiting that place for a simple reason, being not very comfortable there. Kerala people mind their own business. I visited Kannur. It's one of the places where I went for suicide, but very peaceful and calm, provided you mind your own business. I love eating street food, and I think it's really nice. I love shopping because some places, especially if you know where to buy, it's dirt cheap. But nowadays, it seems even Kerala has become very expensive. By the way, when I was at Trivandrum, I was shocked because I saw Lamborghinis, I saw Ferraris, I saw Range Rovers. I thought it was supposed to be poor. I mean, I was so shocked that when I landed at Trivandrum and I saw these luxury cars, I actually looked back to see, is this actually Trivandrum? Because I came down from the railway. I couldn't believe my eyes that it was so expensive. Some people are filthy rich in India. It's not like how they show in the videos. Anyway, that was me learning. And yes, I have met a few politicians. I wouldn't say many. I will not name who. This is slightly sensitive, but my mother, when I was at the age of 14 or 16, in Mumbai, she did have ministers and some people from the underworld. Not very sure who they were or what their names were, but there were some things which I did see which were like, which you see in Bollywood movies. It was like, what the bloody hell? And obviously I was shocked. And I think my mother bought me just for safety. She didn't take my stepfather. She went there. This was during the Gulf War. And I did see some things, you know, the typical, that small van when you open and guys come out and all that. And, you know, then you're supposed to close your eyes and they take you to a place and all that. All that is very true. Like you see in these Bollywood kind of gangster movies, very much. And just to share a thought, my mother had to recover cash from one individual based in India. Went to the minister. I don't know what minister, which party, what he was. He said he can get the daughter raped, he can get him chopped into pieces, he can get, they'll kill him, this, and obviously they would take money for all that. And openly he said, and it was not a joke, he was actually asking like bags of money. And my mother's like, no, we don't know all this, I just want my money back. And they would take a very high percentage for the money. So I've seen all that crap when I was, I think I was 14, 15 at that time. But anyway, I never kept in touch. My mother never kept in touch. So that was done deal. So don't ask me which is the underworld guy. And yes, I did see Dawood Ibrahim in Dubai. And not that I shook hands with him or something. I seen him from afar. And yeah, he was surrounded by a lot of big guys. So yeah, that's another thing. Number 5 is I've been offered to visit India multiple number of times. I've been invited by young students, by corporations, small companies, not multinational companies. They are ready to pay for my ticket. They're ready to pay for my stay because of sponsorship, but they don't want to pay me money for my speaking. They don't want to pay money for my, stay. And it's not actually worth it for me because the time it takes to travel there, to settle down, and the time it takes to come back, at least 15 days go by. In that 15 days, I can make around, let's say 15 into 460 videos, which gives me much more money, earning money sitting here. So I don't find that quite rewarding to go there, whether you believe me or not. People have paid for my ticket. It's not VIP tickets. It's economy class. I did get 1 or 2 offers for business class. Hotels, they offer me 3 or 4 star. They have not offered me 5 star until now. But it's not worth it for me. Yes, I was offered a role in, I think in Big Boss. the producer spoke to me without giving too many details. He told me that you should maintain a, this is what, by the way, Big Boss is all planned, pre-planned. They asked me, like the producer, when I was talking to him, he was telling me, you need to put on a controversial persona, you need to make people react, I want you to be brash, and they give you instructions what to do. The reason I said no is because it clashed with the brand of being a person of integrity, and they heavily edit what you say and how you say it, so they could make me sound or look like whatever they wanted, and it was too big of a risk for me to take. So I refused Big Boss. Yeah. And another one is they would pay me every episode, they would pay a certain amount of money. All the other expenses were taken care of, and but we had to put on a character, which I sounded tempting, but good common sense made me realize that's not something which I want to do. And I actually checked the videos. It was terrible. It was not something I want to do. I've been offered, when I was staying in Dubai, roles of being a villain, gangster. Those days I was big because I was taking steroids. Now definitely I'm skinny. I look like Lord of the Rings, that character now. Precious. I look like that, very skinny. But when I was big, I was offered roles in South Indian movies where I think the South Indian hero, I think one was, I don't know whether Malayalam movie, another one was Tamil movie. I'm supposed to act like a bad guy and get beaten up by the hero, and they were actually not ready to pay me. They just wanted me, and the pitch from the producer was, you'll be famous. I said, yeah, I need money. I'm not going to do it for free. So I was supposed to misbehave with the heroine or something and get beaten up. So I didn't want to take that role of getting beaten up in all the movies. So I found that very silly that they actually... I was even once asked to be a kind of a drug addict rapist. Yeah. So, yeah, so much so for my movie career. Okay, whatever. Okay. Number 6 is, people always ask me, why do I hate India? I don't hate India. I just hate things that Indians do which are bad, like being racist, men being desperate for women, poor unhygienic practices, backstabbing, gossiping. Yeah, there are good sides to India, but when someone achieves good, to be very clear, when someone achieves good, like Sachin Tendulkar, he achieves greatness, or Satya Nadella, or any, he has done it. I have not done it. How can I take even that javelin throw guy? Yes, you have done something great, but it's your glory. Why should I say, I'm Indian, he's Indian, I'm Indian? If that is the case, then when a guy rapes a girl or is a pedophile, I should say, he's Indian, I'm Indian. You know, why do we associate only with someone who's great, but disassociate when someone has done something of shame? So when someone does something great, I admire that individual, not because he's Indian, but because he has done it. But when someone does something that is shameful, like being a pedophile or doing something wrong, it ruins the name of all the other Indians. So I highlight these issues, and people always tell me, why don't you talk something good about India? I mean, almost everyone from the BJP to the media houses, they are only talking great stuff about India. And I'll tell you this very honestly, if I were to put a video and say, India is great, India is fantastic, we are number one, whether you believe me or not, I would get 0 views. Nobody gives a fuck about it. Bad news sells, controversy sells, shock sells, and that is how the media works. You who is insecure, who's woke, who's sensitive, does not make a living online, so you do not know what the reality is. My open challenge to you is, if you think I'm just a hater, write down a couple of very good articles praising India and have a look at how many views you get. It'll hardly be 10 to 12 views, but if you put something shocking and controversial, it'll be 10 times more the views. That is why everyone focuses, even media houses, on shock and controversy, which is why Daily Mail online gets the highest number of views. But I don't focus on something that is fake. I speak my heart out, even if I'm unpopular, but I'll speak from the heart, and I'll speak on what I believe and feel is right, not just for the views, but because I genuinely believe in that. Okay, so it's not I love India or I hate India. I just like to present facts as they are. And yes, there is, you know, being an Indian passport holder, I take interest in India and not in Pakistan and not in Japan or not in Africa, because that has nothing got to do with me. I have roots which are tied to India, so that is why I have interest in India. Next one is I love Indian food, but if you ask me my favorite among all, I definitely love one is the North Indian, chapati, which like blows up. And especially the vegetarian dishes, unbelievable. I love the biryani, like handi biryani and all that. I don't know if it is actually Indian, but my favorite is masala dosa, the actual masala dosa, the real big ones. I love that. I love vada. South Indian food is very nice. The chakuli, I don't know what you call it. It's like a rice cracker, which I like that. I like barfi Indian sweets. I order it here, which is in Bangkok. So I like the pani puri. I like the street food. I really like that. And Keralite food is maybe because I've eaten a lot of Keralite food, parota, and especially the papad, and the South Indian meal on the banana leaf. I like that. I like even Gujarati thali. Oh, unbelievable, yeah. So I do love Indian food a lot. I miss it a lot. Here in Thailand, especially where I stay, samui, it's very hard to get. And I don't mind, trying new Indian dishes. But here's the funny thing. I can't take spicy too much. I really can't take. Okay. Number 8 is Indian music. You'll find this surprising, but I do listen to Indian songs, especially by A.R. Rahman. I think he's a genius. And this will really surprise you. I listen to the good old 80s. Amitabh Bachchan, R.D. Burman, I think his name is. Yeah. I listen to the 80s of Amitabh Bachchan, Rajesh Khanna. I like listening to the 80s songs because it brings back a lot of nostalgia. My parents used to listen to it. And where Indian movies are concerned, I've always loved Amir Khan's movies, except that one where he was with a long beard. I can't get the latest one. But Dangal is one of my favorite. Bhag Milka Bhag. I like the movies which are thought-provoking. There are a lot of names. Especially Gangs of Wazepur is my number 1 favorite of all time. It's a 4-hour long movie. Masterpiece. I never thought such movies existed. And lately there have been a couple of good movies, and I always open to your recommendations like Ludo and all that, which make you really think. I kind of like those movies. And so especially one section, something about a rape, false rape allegation. So there are a wealth of Indian movies which are worth watching, and I especially like the mafia gangster kind of movies. Okay. So Indian music, I like A.R. Rahman. I think he's a genius, one in a generation. It's really nice. And I do miss, Lata Mangeshkar's songs, Asha Bhosle's songs. Kind of like those. Okay. Number 9 is I've been offered to stay in India when I was especially thinking of moving to Thailand by a businessman, very successful in Bangalore, multi-millionaire. He offered me a house. He offered me partnership in business. He offered me rent-free, all expenses paid, basic food, electricity, water, everything for 5 years. But I refused. And the reason being is not because I hate India. India is too competitive. India is too crowded. India is a lot of challenges. And see, there's a perception if you say I'm an Indian staying in India versus if you say I'm an Indian staying overseas. And for my online brand, in order for me to charge in US dollars, if I were to be in India, by default, I would be judged as a typical Indian, kind of a service provider. And it is very challenging when you charge in rupees, and especially the tax. I don't understand why people pay tax. It's too high with zero benefits. I didn't see any reason to live there. Very competitive, very expensive, very tough life. And I admire Indians who can live there. But the sad part is it is just, they pay very poor salaries. That's just my opinion. And it's too competitive because the population is too high. It's too crowded, too polluted. This is not being a hater. These are facts. Okay. That's why I chose not to be in India. I've spoken to you about Indian movies. Number 11 is Indian women are going to hate me saying this, but I just cannot stand Indian women. I'm not saying all Indian women are bad, but with the problem of the West, the social media landscape, and the expectations Indian women have, they want the sun, moon, and stars. They want a successful career. They want you to have a big bank balance. They want you to have a lot of property. They want you to have an impeccable character. They want you to have nowadays even citizenship and guaranteed life in the West. They want the character of Christ. They want the looks of John Abraham. They want the mannerisms of, I don't know, someone elite. And you have to fit into their society, and you have to keep their parents happy. So girls have so many expectations. And obviously, when girls tell me, look at you, you look like a freak, you look ugly, who in their right mind would introduce you? 100% right. I made videos on it stating that no Indian girl in her right mind would ever even want to introduce me to her family. I know my limitations. I'm not, I'm not stupid about it. An Indian girl has too many expectations, and I just can't tolerate Indian women. I don't know. I just cannot. The married ones with children and who are mature, I can talk to them, have a great conversation with them. But rest of them are just, they live in a bubble world, and I just can't tolerate them. And nowadays, given the rise of OnlyFans, I was very shocked to know that a lot of girls who are actually looking to make money through these sexual exploits have sugar daddies and all that, and they're very cool about it, which kind of surprises me. And girls nowadays, I mean, it's become a nightmare. I don't know how guys deal with girls or Indian women in India. Not saying all Indian women are bad. There are plenty of Indian men who are sick to the stomach. That meme is a Bobs and Vagine. That is how typical Indian men are. And I've shared enough and more embarrassing stories. But as far as Indian women are concerned, I prefer staying away from them. They're not my cup of tea. I'm very sure looking at my face, they would say, you're not our cup of tea either. It's mutually agreeable. So I don't get along with the Indian women. And after they get married, I don't know what happens to them. They just become something else. Okay. Number 12 is, I consider India one of the most talent-rich pool countries in the world, but with one of the worst practical advice on how to market, how to sell themselves. They don't have manners. They do not have a personality. They don't have that ability to really shine in global markets. The ones who do, from Dhruv Rathi to all these social media influencers who make millions and billions, they are one of a kind, the rare ones. But overall, the majority, 99%, they are just fighting between themselves. I think the Indian politics, Indian culture, Indian way of thinking, Indian superstition, Indian religion, hero worship, politics makes India a mess to deal with. In Dubai, you can open up a business in 15 minutes and register it and get all the perks and benefits. India, I've known industrialists who are struggling for the past 2 years and they still can't open up a business. So India's a nightmare in more ways than one. Once again, you can tell me if I'm wrong. By the way, you might find this very surprising, but I do value Indian talent. I have promoted Indian talent, but what stops me is there are just too many people asking for free favors, and some of them really lack the values, ethics, and morals. And it's a fashion statement to be a backstabber. I don't know why, but it's sad. The Indian values are really missing. And today's youth, which is point number 13, is they are very confused, very... I mean, they just think they can get away with a lot of shit because they have access to OpenAI, ChatGPT, or they can comment, anonymously online. So it's a nightmare dealing with today's youth. And that is why I'm very strict with when dealing with youth. And I make sure that they give respect, which brings me to the next point. Indian values are the most incredible. The values, the ethics, the morals. But today they have been completely mangled and manipulated beyond proportion, where religion is commercialized, where values are totally mixed up. But I raise my daughter with the Indian values that I've been taught, not the bad side, the good side. That is why you'll be surprised to know, even though my wife is Buddhist, she prays to Hindu gods. There's a lot of commonality there. And my daughter also, she's a Buddhist, and she also prays to Hindu gods. Not every day, but whenever they do pray. However, people have asked me this, but my daughter would never be... she would never be an Indian. I've chosen the Thai passport for her, Thai lifestyle. She would know that her father is of Indian origin, but I'm never going to make them want to go to India, visit India, maybe quite secretly. But I would never want her to live the Indian life. And with me, the Indian lineage ends. I want her to continue being Thai and move in that direction that she wants. But yeah, I've been open about this. I do not want her to be Muslim or know anything about Islam, because I've given my views already. I do not hate Islam, or I do not hate Muslims, but I'm very uncomfortable with a lot of the teachings and lifestyles that Muslims live. Once again, I've supported Muslims. I've against a lot of bad Hindu practices, but in preference, I prefer my daughter being given a choice between Hindu, Christian and Muslim. Even though I was born in a Christian family, I prefer her being Buddhist and yes, following the traditional values of Hinduism. Whether if you're talking of a modern outlook, there also it wouldn't be much of Christianity, because nowadays Christianity is very much into alcohol and loose living, and it's very diluted by the West. And last but not the least, the final Indian thing about me is there's a love-hate relationship that I have with India. On one side, I admire the culture, the tradition, the deep-rooted Indian values that are there, like touching the feet of elders, respecting, calling them uncle, auntie or sir. I believe in Guru Dakshina. But however, the politicization of religion and the racist attitude and the clannish behavior and the lack of global, I don't know, manners, as you can call it, which Indians lack, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. So there are a lot of good things about India, there are a lot of bad things about India, but overall I feel that where I'm concerned, I admire the competitiveness, I admire the talent, but then there are so many other drawbacks, which is why when people brag and say India is going to be number one, I say definitely yes, India is going to achieve ABCD, absolutely yes. But you as an Indian, if you are not making money, your career is not great, you are not successful, what is the point if India becomes number one but you're still earning in Indian rupees? Because in the end of the day, corruption persists in India. The rich will be always richer, the poor will be always poorer, and it's the middle class who will suffer in the end. So these are the couple of Indian things about me. Yes, I have studied astrology, palmistry, you know, all that stuff of India, but you know, I don't talk much about it. So having said that, if there's any Indian thing I've not answered, do let me know. Love to hear your questions. I would be visiting India, but then again, I would not be revealing when, where, how, what. Just do my thing quietly and come back. So yeah, feel free, ask me any questions if you have about India. I have my WhatsApp groups if any of you Indians want to join. They are dedicated for most of the Indians. But then again, strict rules. So good, bad, ugly, feel free. Let me know what you think. This is the Indian edition to my video. You guys take care. And yeah, I know I don't look very much Indian, right? But I sound Indian. Yeah. You guys take care. This is me signing off. Chal, bye.